My mom taught me to sell at a spaza shop. She ran a hair salon. I pretty much learned entrepreneurship from my moms.
Ngumntu ngabantu. That on your own, you can't really do it. You need the support of those around you.
You will have a network of people, a network of communities, and a society that will make sure that you count.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's edition of SAITA StraightTalk. It is so great to be with you. It's a very, very important time in our lives, not only because we're winding down the year, but because in the informal sector, we continue to do straight talk about issues that are pertinent to not only the informal sector as an economic division, but also as a division that has a social conscious. So the SAITA Straight Talk sessions are powered by SAITA, the South African Informal Traders Alliance. And in our panel discussions called SAITA Straight Talk, we talk about those issues that are pertinent to the informal sector. Now, today is the 9th of December, which means it's a day before the end of a campaign where we focus on violence against women and children. So the 16 Days of Activism for No Violence Against Women and Children, it's a 16-day campaign, is a United Nations campaign. It takes place annually from the 25th of November, and it ends on the 10th of December, which is International Human Rights Day. And in the 16 days, we also have other key commemorative days. Days like World AIDS Day on the 1st of December, and then also the International Day for Persons with Disabilities on the 3rd of December every year. Now, the theme for 2021 has been the year of Charlotte Manya Mateke, 16 Days of Activism, moving from awareness to accountability. I had to give that little bit of an introduction because with me this evening is our National Director of SAITA Membership, Paul Bester, a man that prides himself on taking a very, very vocal stance against gender-based violence, and a man that really is always intent on preaching the gospel of moving from awareness to accountability. Good evening, Paul, and a very, very warm welcome to the SAITA Straight Talk session tonight.
Good evening, Louise. Thank you for having me. Thanks so much.
So, Paul, I've looked at social media and I've seen there's, especially in our high schools, we've seen lots and lots of effort going into getting our young people to don orange T-shirts, because that is the color for gender-based violence in 2021, and lots of youngsters standing up and saying no. But there's a reason why at the end of 2021 campaign for gender-based violence, there's a man on the panel. Because it's important for us to start changing the narrative that we know that gender-based violence affects both men and women, but we also know that the hard truth is that it's skewed, very skewed towards women and children being on the receiving end. Give us your take as a man. Take your SAITA hat off quickly and just give us a feel for you as a man watching this and seeing this happen, because we've seen some horrible atrocities happening in the 16 days against our women particularly. So just help me understand, where is your mind, where's your feelings when it comes to GBV?
Thank you, Louise. Okay, so gender-based violence is a very, as you rightly saying, we started the conversation by saying gender-based violence, we should not forget men, and the male species also a gender. And so there's also violence against men, where women act very strong against certain men. But we also know that it's, and I want to go there where you went, is to say it's a skewed perception. women are at the striking end of this atrocities. It's very, very unfortunate that we as men are in a situation today that we have to go and have 16 days of activism to protect our women. Because women are supposed to be the builders of our country. They are the mothers of the nation. And this is why women in our country is where it is because women build it the way that they are. We can look as far back as when South Africa started. The first person of note that is noted in our history books is Krotua, the mother of a nation, so to speak. And woman was at all times in the coal face of building these, building South Africa and being the building block. I want to go, stories like Racheltjie de Beer. I say again, Krotua. Going forward, ladies on the fields while the men is at home, the ladies work in the fields, work the land, make food, prepare the food. And I always have this saying that goes, so if you give women a brick and mortar, you'll build her a house, but she'll give you a home. If you give a woman 2 potatoes and a carrot, she'll make you a stew. If you give woman love, she'll give you the best. But if you give woman shit, that's what you'll get. And I think that is the issue that I wanted to make a little bit tongue in cheek, but this is what I wanted to get to. The way that we treat our women is the way that reflects the community and society at large. In the last 3 days, there has been 3 or 4 horrific murders of men killing their partners. I mean, if you don't want your wife, you don't like your girlfriend, leave. Just go. It's no need to kill them and brutalize women. And so to me, as a leader and coming from an environment that I had prior to coming to SAITA, being in the work environment and workspace, women are degraded just because being a woman. They talk of equality of women. There's a difference between our sexuality. That's true. Women are born different to men. That's fine. You can do nothing there. But we should be equal in our gender and being accepted as equal as persons. And that's what's not happening, is that as men, we still have a superiority feeling and a superiority idea that woman is below us. You can go and look at some of your simplest ideas and go and look what women earn as opposed to men. Women earn less than men. Women with more qualifications do work lesser responsible work than men who is lesser qualified. It's just a natural thing of the community of society seeing women as lesser. And to me, that's wrong, and that's something that I want to address and really, build out and take forward.
Paul, you're saying so many things that resonate with me. Now, gender-based violence is really an epidemic also in our country. And not too long ago, the president of our country, President Ramaphosa, in September 2019, in a national address, he spoke about government that is implementing an emergency response action plan on gender-based violence and femicide. And I'm going to put it to you categorically that is probably a textbook case of lip service. Because I can put it to you also that in order to get more men on here, on the panel discussion this evening, and with particular focus to the area of our society that is supposed to have the legal right to protect females when they are in a position where they need assistance, and it's the National South African Police Services, we could not get one of them to commit to talking to us this evening. That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It does. To go back to what you said, starting your conversation, yes. The president's speech and that policy that is signed, today is a year later and it's not been implemented. There's not one implementation of that. That's lip service. It touches on just touched on the 350 rand that was supposed to be given in COVID, which still is just lip service. I see there's numbers coming when you can get money. The point that I'm making is there's people suffering today. But I want to make a statement as well, Louise, and I might be a little bit of controversial. But we need to understand the difference between crime and gender-based violence. If a criminal breaks into a house, and I want to take the situation of Jesse Hess and the grandfather that was killed 2 years ago. There was criminals that broke into the house and found a female and an old man in the house, and they murdered them. That's crime. It's not because it's a woman. That's not gender-based violence. That's crime. And if one murder is one murder too many. But when, and I might not be a biblical man, but if you read the Bible says when a woman marries a man, she leaves her family and the place of security and go and stay in the security that your husband or this man provides. That's gender-based violence. When you, as a husband, misuse, or as a partner, or as the male in the relationship, misuses that trust that female or lady puts in you. You are the protector, and you are supposed to be the guardian of her and the children that you have or surrounds. When you misuse that trust and you batter your wife and you kill her or you beat her or you swear at her or you just physically break it down, that is gender-based violence. Not crime when somebody breaks in. Because if I'm in a house, myself as Paul Bester, sitting here, if a criminal breaks in my house tonight, he will murder me. Doesn't matter if I'm a man or a woman. That's just plain old crime that we need to address. Gender-based violence is not crime. Oh, well, it's a crime, but I'm saying the murder of and hitting of a female when there's a break-in or something, that's crime. That's not gender-based violence. Is that person, as I say, who's the trust in the husband is being misused, or as going into a certain situation where the male takes responsibility for the actions, or not take responsibility for his actions, and then misuses that trust. The fact that the person that is a female that says, I am gay, and there's corrective rape or corrective assaults because you need to understand that you cannot be a woman and love another woman. That's gender-based violence. We're touching on something else, but that's gender-based violence. So I want us to be very clear. As men, we have hands. These hands here must fight for women, not against women. We need to protect your woman and your community and your society, because history will judge our generation. In 20 or 30 years' time, when we read in history books of people and ladies that has been killed and murdered, and some cases when you go into your law books, in the case of so-and-so, in the case of such and such, history is going to judge us as men. What did we do to better the situation in our country? I think that's very important for us to take note of, Louise.
If you've just joined us on the SAITA StraightTalk session this evening, let me just give you some background. It is the night before the end of our 16-day campaign against gender-based violence. And tonight we have on our panel Paul Bester, who's our National Director for SAITA membership, as a man taking a stand, as the National Director of SAITA membership, taking an even bigger stand, saying that in an informal sector where SAITA is the voice that aims to unite the sector, where 70% of all our traders are women, SAITA says a categorical no to gender-based violence. So Paul, let's talk about communities, because we are informal traders. Our workspace and our home space, that line is very, very fine.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens at home affects us even more so than people that are in the formal sector that has a place to go to. And that often has, in the formal sector, there's often programs in the workplace that offers women a place where they can run to and talk about these things, and help is being offered. But in the informal sector, we don't often have that case. And some of us don't even have to go home to experience gender-based violence. We see it at the marketplace.
Yes.
So what would you say to a woman as an informal trader whose life as it is a hard life? She probably grew up seeing other men being abusive and thinks that that's the way it should be. What is your stance against that for an informal trader?
So I think I would want to answer this in two ways. There's an official answer, and then there's the real answer. The official answer would be, as we always say, remember, go and report this to the police. But that's not the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do, but we know that our police is understaffed. There's very serious issues, and there's a lack, I want to call it a lack of political will
Again,
from the
we
police.
get there.
Yeah. Of call it the political will, for a lack of a better word, to really get involved in these kind of issues. You know, and if you stay in a community, and I wanted to say this in a community, if a community and somebody in that community shops at Woolworths, the whole street will skinner and tell you how the Muslim says fitna. We'll talk about this person. Did you see that guy doesn't go to ShopRite, he buys at Woolworths. Almal weet dit. Check the chicken at Woolworths. But if a man in the house beats a woman or is abusive to a woman, nobody wants to speak out. They will always tell you, it's not my business. It is your business. You must make it your business, because if you don't become part of the solution, you will encourage the problem. You are encouraging the problem to continue. So my point is this: as SAITA, we stand against gender-based violence. We are not a police or an investigating, an institution, but we have contacts to those who do that. So please get in. If you're an informal trader and you're part of SAITA, please talk to SAITA about this. We can direct you to the right people that can assist you in safe houses. Talk to people who's in the psychologists. You know, maybe if there's kids involved, make sure that the kids are sorted out. The one thing that you don't do is get physically involved with that person. Don't try and stop him, because you are going to give him an opportunity to go at you again later on. Do it. Report this at your police. Do this, please. I mean, I'm not saying that's the right thing. It's not the only thing to do, but you must go and tell the police that a record should be built up, and don't withdraw your case 2 days down the line because the guy says he's going to hit you if you keep on. Don't withdraw the case, because that's when you have lost the fight. As soon as you withdraw, he's got the power, because then you know he will always force you to withdraw the case if you make a case of assault. So don't withdraw your case. Go through. It costs you nothing. It's going to cost you loss. It's costing you less pressure and stress to go to court than it is to stay with a man in the house that you don't know what is going to happen the next second. So please proceed with what you do, but please also make sure you contact our SAITA and talk to us, and we can direct you to the right environment so that you can be helped. No person needs to live in such a condition. I understand it's very difficult sometimes, and you will have excuses, but the only reason that there is an excuse is to make sure this doesn't happen tomorrow again, or you want to soften the blow. It will happen again. If you are in an abusive relationship, if you are being beaten, if you are psychologically, broken down by a narcissist, it will always continue. You just never know when it will happen. So don't fool yourself by saying it will be better if I don't say anything. It will continue in another way, one way or the other. Rather get help, get out of the relationship, or at least get the person that's doing this to you sorted out by the authorities.
You know, Paul, what you've said now, I'm going to actually be bold and say that with everything that you've said, you are telling each and every person to become an activist against gender-based violence, be it in our homes, be it in the communities, being at work, whether it is standing in a queue paying for I've stood in a queue a couple of times where I have heard and seen how embarrassed a lady gets because her husband is just totally losing it with her in the queue ready to pay. So, and that lady has no option now. She's pretending for it to be okay when it is not okay. Mm-hmm. So for us to be activists, we obviously need to develop a sense of boldness within us. Yes. And it also means that we need to become hypersensitive, and we're probably going to be labeled as being overly sensitive when we're standing and we're sitting in a conversation with our friends. I mean, it's similar to, in my opinion, it's similar to the racism issue.
Yes.
You know, there are certain things where people sit around and now it's a dinner table, or we're just meeting each other and people make jokes. And some of those jokes sound funny, but actually, if you go and dissect it, it's not funny. It's hurtful.
Correct. It is.
And the same thing with gender-based violence. We often find that, especially around a group of men, the things people say that they think are funny, but it's actually not funny. If we just take a case in point, we've had this over the last 3 days. the conversation, the podcast conversation that Jub Jub had.
Yes.
You know, where he discussed a very intimate relationship that he had with his partner with another man on a public platform. But the manner in which he spoke about that relationship certainly wasn't respectful to his partner, even if it was an ex-partner.
Yes.
And the host of the program sort of didn't at any stage say, you know, hold on, don't you think you're being a bit offensive? But is that the kind of culture that we need to change?
Yes. You see, Louise, I want to add on to that and say you're 150% correct. Our society has a very bold and revolutionary kind of constitution where everything is protected and so on. And we want to be politically correct in everything. If you see, and this is what bothers me about gender-based violence and protecting, coming out, you will find some old white man having the old South African flag in his bar. And somebody posted a picture of that because a friend of a friend went to a braai, and then it becomes a big issue in the media, this South African flag. Yet you don't find somebody coming out saying that my neighbor actually swore at his wife and pushed her on the floor. Where's that political correctness of protecting? We need that kind of a boldness. Forget about the old toppie that's 60, 70 years old that puts the South African flag in his bar. I know the flag has got an issue and it's hurtful and it's got an issue to some people, but it's in his place. Leave that. Go out and put in papers how your neighbor swears at his wife, how your friend treats his woman how your teacher at school talks to a kid. Put that out. Don't be politically sensitive about issues that and this makes you a keyboard warrior. Talk of issues and put the issues in the media, in social media, and talk about issues that has a concern and that can change society. And that's what we need to change. Society, a paradigm shift from being politically correct to be politically active or activist, as you called it, in a situation which is gender-based violence. We need people to stand hand in hand and talk out. I mean, I am a friend, very good friend of Reverend June Major. Reverend was raped by her parish 35 years ago. And till this day, there was even a gagging order against her. Well, applied against her. It didn't succeed. The church wanted to quiet her, silence her, to tell people about the ordeal that she went through by her male parish. That's unfair. We need to fight these things. This was in the media because on her Facebook, and if you didn't know about it, it was so in the passing. But you will find the Twitter blow up of a South African flag of an old man in a braai in his place, known by a friend of a friend. So we must change our attitudes when we are keyboard warriors. Let's talk and fight the real issues.
Paul, thank you for that. Loyolo, I am so glad to see that your connection is stable now. Good evening and very, very welcome to SAITA Straight Talk.
Good evening, everyone. Honored to be part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Loyolo, please give us a little bit of background of who is Loyolo and what do you stand for?
My name is Loyolo Lengisi. I am the co-founder of #Langa4Men, an activist, artist, spiritualist, and a feminist. So for all my years, I've been part of different organizations that are advocating for peace and humanity in our communities. And #Langa4Men is an organization that fights gender-based violence and femicide through equipping young men and boys instead of being perpetrators to be protectors. We do that in the form of healing sessions where we allow men and boys to be vulnerable to their feelings, and also go to hikings where we also connect ourselves with nature so that anything that you have, you can vent to nature and also have that space where you can share with other men and understand the real meaning of manhood and understand the meaning of being a boy without being told that you are a boy. You can do everything that you want to do. You can break people, and then later you will repent and be a man. So these are some of the things that we do. We run a soup kitchen after we saw that many people lost their jobs last year. So we are saying that young people needs to take spaces and create change. If you are a man, you don't know what you wanna do, you can come to our soup kitchen, and assist the community. In that way, you will be building your confidence, because you might be facing some difficulties, but then go and hurt other people. But when you are assisting people, you also able to think. We also donate sanitary towels twice in a week to different people around Langa. If you are a girl or you're a woman, you are in need, you can contact our page. We will come. We teach men and young boys about menstruation, because in our time they used to say that you must face the desk, and now we are saying that we can all do change.
Luyolo, tell me where did this start? Where did this start? Because we know that our society has got, when it comes to our cultural practices and ideas and just the way we've always been doing things, it's very hard for a man to start this kind of conversation and make it successful. But what started this for you? What was the reason that you decided that hashtag Langa for Men is an organization that you need to start and equip? I think we've lost Luyolo there now. It looks like his sound is not coming through to us. Paul, what do you say in response to what Luyolo has just said? I've just gotten goosebumps. I mean, when he said it's an organization without shame saying that we are called hashtag Langa for Men, I mean, that sets them apart. But the issues that they are talking to are issues that affect females.
Absolutely.
It takes a man to say that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's why I was showing the Viva to that guy, because that's brilliant. I mean, the way that he talks, the way that what they do is exactly what we as SAITA do, taking the sanitary pads, for instance. That to me is a big thing. And then me and you have had this conversation. But for this tonight, I will tell you this. A man, as a man, you don't need to have sex. You can stop yourself. You can wait for your partner. You don't need to have sex. Yet condoms are free. Millions of condoms are free. A girl that turns 11, 12, 13 goes into a menstrual cycle, yet there's no free pads for her. She needs to go and buy it. Each month, thousands of girls loses a week at school per month because of exactly that. The fact that they don't know how to treat it, the fact that there's no parents present, the fact that they live in an area where this is just it's not talked about. And so they stay at home for that week out of the month, and they lose that schooling. So not only are we not assisting a youth and a girl child with the right, environment, but what we are doing is in the longer run is we are telling ourselves that the youth of today is the leaders of tomorrow, and we don't mind them not being taught and trained and educated well enough, because we leave them to go out. So this is something that he just said, very, very interesting, is that this is what they do. And I think as a SAITA, we follow that. I can't say we followed it because I have not known about this. I've only met him tonight on this meet. But we as SAITA do this. This is what we preach, and we assist, areas across South Africa with sanitary pads. And we want men, and we talk to men, and we interact with men to change, to make sure that, we, like a feminist, we become feminists and put women on pedestals. That's what we want to do. And I think that's every man's duty. We are actually held duty bound by God, if I can use that word, is to look out for women and to treat women the same way in the respect that they deserve. That's what I want to say. I wanted to add the gentleman that was on the line quickly. I see he's a councillor as well. He's the youngest councillor ever to be elected in the city of Cape Town. So I mean, he's quite a powerful, phenomenal young man that we've got on the show. Fortunately, as you always say, a lot of things that you say comes true tonight. Look at this. Not all data and Wi-Fi is equal. He's on and then he's off. And so, but unfortunately, if he was here, I would have wanted to congratulate him, because that shows somebody who's trusted by his community as well. You just don't get into a council position by sneaking in the back door. People have to vote for you. And you need to be trusted in your community. And you have to stand up and be an upstanding kind of a person to be known by your community, to be elected. So yeah, I think they are doing a good work, Langa for Men, and as SAITA, we really applaud them.
Thank you, Paul. I want us to quickly also go back to something that you've said earlier, and that is, if I'm in a situation as an informal trader, be it at home, be it at the marketplace, if I'm in a position where I need assistance, as a SAITA member, I can approach SAITA and say, help me to find direction to make the situation better.
Correct.
Just talk to us about the SAITA membership, because I know that as a SAITA membership, you can join, and then then there's the next level where you can pick certain benefits. And I know that one of the benefits is a guardian plan, where where there's extra security. But I want to go back to just talk about that whole membership, that whole of sticking together and having this one voice.
Okay, so let's talk about that quickly. And I think I once talked about, I want to explain SAITA membership as a union. Now, all of us knows about unions and unionism in South Africa. And you will find a union that deals, for instance, in the health environment. And there's a cleaner that works in a little hospital in Mkwandule in the Eastern Cape. He might not even know who his national leadership is of that union. But when the union works and do something and gets an increase, or there's better working conditions, it gets implemented, and this gentleman or lady that's a cleaner at Mkwandule gets that same, assistance and the better working conditions. That's because of unity. That's a united union that works for all the people and its members. Now, SAITA is exactly the same. We work for members. Our informal traders and people in the informal industry are our members. But we need to be joined as a united force, to speak from one voice. We as the SAITA, our motto is nothing about us without us. And we want to speak and be on those platforms, available to talk on behalf of any informal trader, to talk about conditions of where you trade, when you are trading, how your license works. If you are being harassed by the Metropolitan Police or authorities mistreat you, if there's issues that you need to do when something is happening, you're arrested, some of your stuff are taken away, there's these issues that we need to do. But for us to do that, you need to be a member. So we have memberships. And you take out a membership at SAITA, and we will show you the email as well as the contact number just before the close of the show. It will scroll on the bottom. But it will give you opportunity to join SAITA at a minimal fee of 49 a month, where you can get a funeral plan. We can assist you, and we go up from different prices from 649 to about 148, where we give you legal protection. We give you funeral. We give you assistance in issues like applying for funding. That's one of the things that SAITA does. We speak on behalf of you wanting funding to build your business at SEDA and SEFA. This is what we do at SAITA. So I would appeal to not just to listening those. If you're in the informal sector, if you're in the informal trade, or you're just a person who makes money from home, contact us, become part of SAITA, and we can assist you also growing your business to be part of business in South Africa.
Thank you, Paul. Luyolo, I'm so glad that you're back, because I don't know whether you heard my last question before your signal went off, and I'd love to repeat it, because I want to know. I was listening to you and I was getting all kinds of goosebumps. I want to know what sparked the start of #LangaForMen. What made you so bold that as a man you decide to start a men's organization to address women's issues? Where did it start?
We started in the mid-August 2019. Sadiq, my co-founder, and myself, we attended a business seminar, and in that business seminar, we spoke about the cases, the rise of cases around South Africa of gender-based violence, and we saw many pickets, we saw many prayers going around South Africa, and when we checked the stats of the people who are attending, it's women. And a big question came to us, Sia and myself, as we were having conversation, what can we do? Why men are not part of such initiatives? Why are they not in front? Why are they not mobilizing each other, so that they can also tackle the issue of gender-based violence? And we ended up saying that let's do something, because if we're going to keep on pointing people, it means that we are also part of the problem. So we came up with one day campaign. Hence we called it hashtag Langa for Men. We wanted every man and every boy around Langa to be part of our first awareness of gender-based violence around Langa as a march where we go around our community, making the noise, giving people messages of gender-based violence. What is gender-based violence? How can we stop gender-based violence? The first step is to also be part of any initiative or be part of change, be a living example. So that made us to open an organization, because more people received us, and then they said, this is what we need. We need more men, we need more boys who are fighting gender-based violence, having to witness it every day in our township, Ulanga, seeing more people being beaten at night, being violated at night. It made us to say that we're going to be the change that we want to see. And when we do that, we're going to do that by inviting men, inviting trash, inviting dogs. We're going to recycle the trash, and we're going to protect the dog, because at the end of the day, the dog is a beautiful creature. We can't take these things and say, because men are doing this, they are dogs. A dog is a beautiful pet. We need to shame and name men, and even call them by name when they are perpetrators. So doing this, we will do this in the form of march, and then it ended up being sessions, because at the end of the day, the people who've been marching, they are marching with rapists, they are praying with rapists, they are picketing with rapists. But now, if we do it in sessions, at least a message will easily get into someone's mind. And if we work with men's mind, at least we will be making change at the end of the day. So that's how Langa for Men was formed.
Louise, you muted. Louise, you muted.
Sorry, my dog was barking as you were talking about the dog Liolo. She just started barking. But but what I wanted to know is, you say that a lot of people bought into hashtag Langa for Men, but I can very well imagine, given our societal judgmental idea, that you must have had a lot of resistance to this also, because you're a young man and now you wanting to mobilize young and older men to say, no, stop this. So how did you deal with that?
On top of it all, there's tradition, so it wasn't an easy thing to do, and still it's not easy being undermined, and people want to just take the whole concept, and use it for their own benefits. So one of the best things that makes us to deal with everything is to connect with nature. So we do these hikings every time. We are lucky that we got people who connected us with nature and told us that if we want to be in this journey, we just needed to be connected with nature. So there are men in our community wanted to take the concept. There are men who are still undermining us, but that's not a problem. You know, as long as we are making change to one person or two people, you know, they also go to other people and also make change. You know, so our actions and our implementation speak for itself. So it speaks for us, and we are happy about it so far. That by the number of the young people who are attending our sessions, and by the number of support of those people who are coming to our sessions who are old, it's something that we love, and it's something that made us to be strong. And they told us that this is needed not only in Langa. So the positive messages we got from other townships and other areas
Yes.
made us to be strong and made us to be focused, because patriarchy and culture, it has been benefiting men for so many years. And when something is benefiting someone, it will never be easy for those people to just distribute power. So we understand that, and we knew that that will be a problem, more especially growing up around a cultural place where men are worshipped, you know. So even if they are wrong, you know, that the things are, they sugarcoat them, you know. So we are expecting unexpected, and whatever that happens, we go with the flow. But what most powerful is that we don't stop passing this message of gender-based violence, making noise. So it's being strong, being connected, and knowing what you want. We want humanity, we want change for everyone. We want people to live together, whether you are a woman or you are a man, and that's what we are advocating for. It will never be changed by anyone.
I love that. But now I have to ask you, you're a counselor, so now there's politics that comes into play with social activism. What is the way forward? Are we working towards a hashtag Western Cape for men, hashtag South Africa for men? What is the future?
I used to work in Mandela Gateway, to Robben Island. So I have a background of history, and I joined politics in 2018 as a young person who wanted change. So I don't dwell much on that. I work with everyone, whether you're from any organization, whether you're from any political organization, as long as you will put the interest of the people first, as long as you're going to serve our community. So we are looking at the world for men, not just for men who are willing to change, who are willing to unlearn, who are willing to restore the values of humanity, the men who are ready to dismantle patriarchy system, men who are ready to break down gender-based violence. So it's not just a world for men. No, men who will create change, men who are eager for change and fight gender-based violence, you know, and be the living examples. And I'm happy that we've been visiting different townships, you know, doing that, going to different organizations, creating connections, using online awarenesses. So we are looking for that, and it will come. Engaging with different organizations that are fighting gender-based violence, not only for the benefit of calling it World for Men or Langa for Men, Kailicha for Men, but we are enhancing what are other organizations that are fighting gender-based violence are also doing. So we are creating connections with those organizations, because we are not competing with anyone, but we are competing with gender-based violence in terms of eradicating it. So we are free for collaboration as long as people are fighting gender-based violence and femicide. We are saying, "Aluta continua, Victoria SAITA."
Yeah, viva. Thank you, Loyolo. Thank you so much. 44 minutes. we could have this conversation over and over and over again, because this is just one of those conversations that should not just be highlighted 16 days of the
Yeah.
year. It is something that should always be top of mind. It is something that the conversation we should be having with our children, because I think that's also where it starts, and that is that we've got to start teaching our children the value of gender equality, so that it doesn't become this. In my brain, already becomes a thing of when my father said, my mother jumped, and therefore I jump when my husband says. So yeah, it really is. It's so heartwarming to see that there are men that are prepared to stand up and say no more. Thank you for doing that, Luyolo. And may your organization just go from strength to strength. I see us as SAITA working very, very closely with #Langa for Men, because this is definitely something that we advocate in the strongest form for our people as informal traders, both women and men. So thank you very, very much for joining us this evening, and thank you for being so resilient and sticking out those technical challenges until we could hear your voice. Much appreciated. Now I can see that #South Africa for Men is definitely going to happen, because you don't let anything stop you. Paul Bester, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's always a pleasure having you on. Are there any final words from you, Paul? Because I'm going to give the final words to Luyolo after you.
Yes, I just wanted to say two quick things. First, Luyolo, well done, comrade. You are a leader. You are in Afrikaans it means toonbeeld. You are a statue of what young people of South Africa are supposed to be doing. We should not be smoking Nayope, ticking. We should be doing what Luyolo is doing, taking the country forward. That's the first thing. The other thing is, quickly, remember about 6-7 years ago, 10 years ago, there was this thing of armband that WWJD said, what would Jesus do? Now, I want to say, we must change that for us to say, what would you do? If you're a man, and whatever you do to your woman would you do that to your mother? If you can say that I will treat my mother the same way that I'm treating my wife, then I'm saying to you, that's fine. If you were prepared to beat your mother, the one that brought you up, if you want to mistreat your mother, the one that brought you up, and you are happy with that, then I cannot understand, then something wrong with you. But if you are not going to say, you say, no, that's my mother, this is my wife, do what you would do like if she was your mother. Treat her like that. Then we will also go on the right track. Thank you, Louise.
Thank you, Paul. Luyolo, some final closing words from you, please.
Thank you so much for having this conversation. My last words are, we must be the generation that don't only react but act. So to every man that is listening, there must be the change that they want to see. There's a young boy who is watching. You don't need to be part of any organization, but you need to be the change that you want to see. And wherever you go, create the conversation of gender-based violence, in families, in gatherings, wherever you go, because it is the problem. We are all the victims of untold stories. You'll never know who's listening, and you'll never know who needs help. Be the change that you want to see. Before everything else, we are all human beings. Before genders, we are human beings. And the spirit of humanity is protecting and giving that dignity by loving everyone, enjoying the vibes, through creating these conversations. We will get to the solutions that we are praying for and we are strongly implementing. Thank you so much.
So, if anybody has told you that there is no hope for our country, please ask them to watch this interview, and then they'll be able to see that indeed there is huge hope for our country. This country is great, and it will always be great, because we've got men like Luyolo and like Paul that is not afraid to stand up and say, let us look after our people. Let us look after our women. Let's protect them. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching SAITA Straight Talk. Remember, every Tuesday and every Thursday at 7 o'clock, right here on the SAITA media page, on our YouTube page. And some good news for you is if you go to your Google Play Store or your Apple iStore, go and search for the SAITA app. Download it. You'll be able to find a wealth of information there. It is really, really such a cool power app. You're going to love it for all the facilities that it has inside there. But the best of it all is you'll have the SAITA Straight Talk in your pocket whenever you need to watch it. Thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, stay well. Till next time, from me, Louise. Goodbye.